I used to think my dream life was too expensive, that retiring early, owning a farm, having more time for my children and for my hobbies is just not in the cards for me. But then I realized something that completely changed my perspective. Maybe my dream was not too expensive. Maybe I was just dreaming the wrong dream. Let's talk about that because I am very certain that you can live a financially free life if you want, even when you don't have a super high salary or when you're even broke right now. I'm going to warn you, you might not like everything I'm about to say with my brutal German honesty, but sometimes it has to hurt in order to change something. And I'm making this video not because Germans know everything or I know everything, but Germans are known for being good with money, having good habits with money, and we have a reputation for saying things a little bit more directly and unapologetically. If you're new here, hi, I'm Uta, and on this channel we talk about money, minimalism, and how to design and afford a simple life that actually feels rich and doesn't just look good on Instagram. I'm on the best way to retire in my 30s, and I'm saving for a simple life on our German farm without neighbors, only my family, my chicken, and my plants. Let's start with the psychological side of being broke but dreaming big. Because dreaming is incredibly easy. Your brain loves it. My brain loves it. I'm always on Pinterest, planning everything, having Pinterest boards and doing mood boards, saving pictures, and writing everything down what I want in my diary. Actually, studies suggest that imagining a future or planning a future is had even more dopamine free than actually doing what you're dreaming of. So the anticipation actually gives you more endorphins and dopamine than the actual reality. So we are all good at planning and dreaming big dreams. Dreaming is healthy, dreaming gives direction, dreaming is wonderful. We can have so much fun dreaming, but it becomes a problem when dreaming becomes entertainment. And I did that for a long time. I was always so stuck in my dreams that I forgot to really do them in real time, or that I actually forgot to take the steps I needed to take to achieve this dream. So if you're watching videos about your dreams, reading books about your dreams, listening to podcasts about your dreams, but you're not getting your ass off the couch, then I hate to break it to you, but your dreams will never come true. Because you feel productive, but you are not productive. You have to start and get your ass off the couch, otherwise you will be always stuck in the planning phase. So I already said that I started to turn the wheel around. Is that a real saying? I don't know. You guys always like to correct my English, so please feel free to correct me with the saying. So I turned my life around. Can I say it like that? And when I actually started to do something, I realized that there is a lot of work behind achieving your dream life without inheriting a substantial amount of money. And if you're not willing to put the work in, then you will never get there. From average efforts, you will only get average results. So maybe if nothing really worked out during the last years, maybe you should change your ways because it obviously didn't work out. Maybe you have already realized that every dream has downsides. It's not all fun and games when you have to actually work on your cottage, when you have to actually dig the holes for the vegetable yard. It's not fun to work overnight shifts for your business. And it's definitely not fun to say no to a lot of things where other people say yes to. Every dream costs something, and I feel like most people don't quit their dreams because they don't want the dream anymore, but because they see that the price for this dream is actually a little bit higher than they expected it to be. And then Netflix seems easier, takeout seems easier. The comfort zone is so easy. When you're not being disciplined, that means that you're going to be dependent for the rest of your life on other persons. The opposite of discipline is always dependence. Social media makes it so easy to fall into the trap of believing that success is super easy and you only need to click the right buttons and you will be an overnight success. And then you see all those successful people that earn a lot of money. And I completely fell into this trap. I used to think that I was born to run an online marketing agency and travel in business class, buy all those designer bags and everything. And I look at me now, I'm actually preaching the exact opposite now because I realized that this is not my dream. This is what social media told me I was supposed to do in order to be successful. You have to build a house, you have to build a family, you have to live in the suburbs, and then you're bound to 30 years of your life for a mortgage. And maybe that wasn't even what you wanted in the first place. When my husband and I said, let's start a family, let's settle down, we also started to look for houses like this. And when we saw what the costs would be and how much freedom we would have to give up in order to have this life in a suburban neighborhood, we were like, no, thank you. I think this is not for us. And in the end, we ended up renovating a house from 1941, which is really old. Everybody told us to just tear down this house because it's not worth it. It was moldy, it was old. When we took down the ceilings, there were actually rotten rats under it. But we took this inconvenience in order to save hundreds of thousands of euros, and that makes us a lot more financially free today. Think about, do I really want this, or does somebody else want me to live like this? And your actual dreams might be way more affordable than what is considered successful today. And if it's totally away from what other people are doing, then that's fine. Just go for it, stand your ground, say, this is my dream, I'm going for this because this is your life. I'm actually convinced that the average person can afford nearly everything, just not at the same time. It's about setting your priorities straight, spending your money on what you really care about, and to not chase a borrowed dream, but your own dream. So at this point, please let me know what your dream life you're saving for is. I think it's the most inspiring thing to hear about the dreams of other people, not to necessarily see what other people achieved or to get jealous or being influenced, but just to see what challenges are other people facing and what kind of alternative dreams are there in comparison to what the general society is telling us. Now it's getting a little bit uncomfortable again. Probably don't really need a bigger salary. You might just need a cheaper dream, but you also need cheaper living costs. If we're taking a look at statistics, then you probably have a higher spending than you should have. You probably buy things you don't need to impress people you don't even like. Using money you probably don't even have and go in debt for it. For subscriptions, impulse buys, new clothes, and simply frame lifestyle inflation. And then we wonder where all our money went and why there is nothing left to invest in our dream. Here's something I've noticed, especially since we moved to the US. Most people don't know their numbers. They know approximately maybe what's coming in and what's going out, but not really exact numbers. And they especially don't know what their dream actually costs. So we're dreaming all the time and we're planning and posting things on Pinterest, but nobody's really going into actual research on how much would this piece of land I'm dreaming of cost and how much would I have to decrease my lifestyle to actually afford it. Nobody really knows these numbers, and I think that's the most important point. So be honest to yourself. Have you ever really realistically calculated, not just kind of write down those realistic numbers and then your dream has a number and it's not just like something in your head, but it is really written down and it has a price. And if you're striving for a simple, sustainable lifestyle, the cost will probably surprise you positively. Maybe you can raise 70% of your food at home. Maybe you can learn how to do and repair things by yourself. Or maybe you can learn a high-paying skill you can do remote from wherever, and suddenly you can work more for yourself than for others. So know your numbers, research your numbers, because you can't improve what you can't measure. This is actually one of the reasons why I created my budget planner, not because writing numbers down is super exciting. It isn't. I was never a mathematic genius, but because clarity changes everything. Once you finally know where your money comes from and where it goes to, you stop making financial decisions based on assumptions. So if you feel like your finances could use a little rearrangement, then feel free to check it out and start saving intentionally towards your dreams. Now that we spoke some clarity into finding your dream and researching your numbers, you may ask yourself, but where do I begin? If I had to start over today, this is what I would do. Step 1, we already talked about this, know your numbers, every single one. Income, expenses, debt, savings, investments, no guessing, just facts. Step 2, start to spend intentionally and decrease your lifestyle inflation. Not super rigid and crazy, because then you just won't stick with it. But you have to start to be okay with having less and to accept a little bit of inconvenience. Suppress the impulse buys and learn how to make more out of what you already have. And yes, that's not always super fun, but it's very effective because every dollar you don't waste buys you freedom later. So step 3, increase your income. Negotiate your salary, learn new skills, start a side business or switch jobs, invest in yourself. Because yes, saving matters, but earning more accelerates everything. Because if you're only earning, let's say, $1,000 a month, you can save your way out to freedom if you have a really low goal. But if you're increasing your salary, then it makes it way more realistic to achieve something in the middle price range. Step number 4, invest consistently. Don't be afraid of investments. You don't need perfect timing or the perfect investment strategy. All you need is time, and you should start now because small amounts invested over time always beat the perfect investment. Let me know if you want me to do a separate video where I explain how we invested our money to become financially free. Step number 5 is gonna be repeat over and over and over again. Finances are actually super boring. You just need a plan and consistency. Log in for 5 years, not until Christmas Eve, not until next month. Just do it for 5 years because most people overestimate what they can do within 1 year and they absolutely underestimate what they can reach within 5 years. And ignore what everyone else is saying because people's opinions won't buy you your future dream life. If this video gave you something to think about today, I'd really appreciate it if you would leave a like here or a hype or share with somebody who is stuck on the way to their big dream. And if you're trying to get your finances under control or your stuff under control, as I already said, this channel is all about finance minimalism. Feel free to subscribe, and then we will see each other in the next video.